Welcome to Southern Glance with Gail. Hi, I'm Gail. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy making blueberry cobbler. Now remember, if you like this video, please subscribe, hit that like button, and ring the bell to be notified when the next video comes out. Well, I have to tell you a story about this blueberry cobbler. Years and years and years and years ago, whenever I lived down in Montgomery, Alabama, then there was a peach tree growing in the backyard. Fresh peaches, all that you wanted. And so we made peach cobbler. I found this delicious recipe years and years ago whenever I made that, and it was so good. Now, it's not like your normal peach cobbler because it's not like that thin crust that you think of, but this is thicker crust. A little bit thicker crust, maybe a lot thicker crust. Anyway, it was so good. But this time we're going to do the same recipe, but we're going to make it with blueberries. So if you want to make peach cobbler, blueberry cobbler, just use fresh fruit. You can use fresh and frozen fruit. You can use cans and canned fruit, but I like the fresh stuff. Okay, so now I have to tell you a story about the blueberries. Gary, my husband, and I went down to Louisiana, and we went to the blueberry patch, and we picked some blueberries. It was blueberry bushes, but these came straight from Butler's Blueberry Farm down near West Monroe, Louisiana, and we just had the best time. So if you and your family want to go and do something special, go to a blueberry patch farm and just pick blueberries and then come home and make blueberry cobbler. Before we get going, I want to show you some photographs or some pictures about how Gary and I picked their blueberries. I just want to motivate you and your family to do some family fun things and just pick those blueberries. Okay, now for the good things. Here we go. First thing, I've already started melting the butter, and this is 1 1/4 sticks of butter. I'm going to just slide it in the oven, and we're going to finish melting that. And the oven, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and stick the butter, just slap it in there, and just let it start melting while we're doing the rest of this stuff. Okay, so for the crust part, this is kind of like a magical blueberry cobbler because you've got the butter, you've got three or four layers. You've got the butter, then you're going to have the flour mixture, and then you're going to have the blueberries, and then the topping for the blueberries. So here we go. We're going to start with our flour mixture. First of all, we're going to take 1 1/4 cups of flour. Whoops, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. We're going to take 2 1/4 cups of flour. Now, like I've always said, for the flour, you don't shake it. You just scrape it off. You fill it over, you oversize it, and then you just use a flat edge surface or a straw or whatever you want and just slide it off and pour it in. And then that's 1 cup. Now we're going to do the second cup, and we're going to overfill it. Use that straw, scrape it off, and that's 2 cups. And we're going to go ahead and put in 1/2 more cup. Oops, that's a third. Whoops, hold on just a minute, let me get my cup. Here it is right here, right in front of me. Okay, so we're going to overfill it. I'm going to scrape it off, and then we've got our flour. I'm going to go ahead and get this flour container out of the way. So we're going to slide it over here. And now with this flour mixture, we're going to add 1 1/4 cups of sugar. We're just going to pour it in. We're going to use our whisk and just kind of whisk those two together. Then we're going to put in 1/4 teaspoon salt. And we're going to whisk that in. And you don't have to whisk it in between. But now here's the interesting part. We've got baking powder. This is not baking soda. This is baking powder. We're going to put in 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder. But I'm probably going to put in just a little bit more, maybe a heaping more, because baking powder, you can do that. Baking soda, don't you dare. But this is baking powder, and we're going to put in 1 1/4, probably like heaping, teaspoons of baking powder. And that's all of the dry ingredients that we have. So we're going to whisk that, get down to the bottom, make sure that all that flour is all good and stirred in. Okay, now we're going to put in 1 cup of milk. And it's going to be kind of a little stiff dough, but you're going to be, I don't know, it's just kind of like a magical recipe. And we're going to just whisk that. We're not going to use the beater because we don't want to overbeat it. But see how thick that is? It's really pretty thick. And this is what gives that crust. I don't know, you'll just have to try it and see. But we're just going to keep on whisking until the flour is in there. And of course you have to make a mess. And if you're cooking, you always make a mess. You can always clean it up afterwards. Okay, I think that we've about got, well, not quite. Let's get that flour out of there. And just whisk it a little bit more. Okay. We might stir it just a little bit more, but I'm going to check on the butter. Let's see how it's coming. Oh, it's nice and it is already melted. So let's put this over here so you can see what's going on. See, our butter's already melted. So now I'm just gonna finish stirring this. I'm gonna just use a spatula this time. Get all that out of the whisk. And if you don't cook with a whisk or stir with a whisk, you're missing out. The whisk really does make things a lot smoother. There's a time and a place for it. Now we have to get all the stuff off of the whisk. Okay, we've about got that done. And okay, so now we're going to just put this, we're going to make sure that it's all stirred just a little bit more because I don't want any flour remaining. And I can see just a little bit of flour down there. Can you see it? We're going to just stir that flour in there. Yeah, it's looking good. Okay. And now we're going to put this right on top of that melted butter. And I'm going to get a spoon. And here we go. We're just going to kind of put it by we're not really spreading it out. Wherever it lays, that's where it's going to stay. So we want to kind of spread it around a little bit, but we're not really spreading. See, kind of like this. Once it's in there, it's in there. Okay. You get the idea, right? Kind of in clumps. And we did buy some ice cream for this, and it's going to be so good, especially served hot. I think we're going to take some over to my mom and my aunt. My aunt doesn't know that we're going to be bringing it over, but my mom does. I think they're kind of anticipating, or my mom is. Okay. And see, we have a lot of crust here, so it's going to be really good and full of crust. Okay. So you're trying to just put it in the spots that don't have any crust. Whoops, that one didn't get stirred in. Okay. And here's a place that doesn't have very much. And right over here doesn't. And here doesn't. So it's kind of like a puzzle. You're just trying to fill in the spots, fill in the gaps. Let's put some more crust right over here. You're trying not to touch it with your hands either. You know, with cooking, you try not to touch things with your hands unless you can help it. And what? Okay, and then, all right, there we go. I think that's, well, let's see. We still have a little bit more crust in here. Let's put some in the corners. We don't want those corners to feel left out, do we? And right here, and right here, and right here. So it's not hard to make, it's just a little bit of, and it's kind of fun to make. Okay, let's see what that will do. Now that's that layer. I'm gonna come over and wash our hands. You can know that they got just a little bit of dough on them. Now comes the next layer, which are blueberries. These are fresh blueberries, 4 cups worth. And I'm just gonna kind of sprinkle them around. And so that it, oh, I see a stem. You don't want the stems in there. Okay, and this over here doesn't have very many. So here again, there's another stem. When you pick them yourself, then you're gonna probably have some stems. Okay, and we're gonna just kind of take our spatula. Let me go get a spatula. We're gonna kind of spread those blueberries so that they're kind of all covered. We don't want too many clumps of blueberries up in different places. Oh, that's looking really good. Okay, next layer is we're gonna have water. We're gonna have 1.5 cups water because these are fresh blueberries, so I'm gonna use a little bit more water. If you use canned blueberries, you might only want 1 cup of water. But we're gonna use 1.5 cup water. We're gonna use 3 cups of sugar. And we're gonna use the juice from a lemon, but I didn't have a lemon, so this is just lemon juice. And I've put in 1/3 of a cup. And we're just gonna whisk that together. And this is our 4th layer. And then it's ready for the oven. So it doesn't take that terribly long. Okay, and we're just gonna pour this right on top of it. Okay. And we've got a little bit of sugar. We're gonna get that in there. Just scrape it in. And so this is what it looks like before the oven. Now, when you bake it at 350 degrees, you're gonna need to bake it about 45-50 minutes or until it's very lightly brown. If you get it really dark brown, I think you've probably gotten it too done. So, yep, it's still a little bit warm from coming in from the oven. So I'm gonna use my pot holders. And we're gonna slap it in the oven. And we're gonna time it. 45 minutes. Okay, and that's all we have to do. So we're gonna just kind of watch it, and we'll see you back whenever it's done. Well, it's been about 55 minutes and this blueberry cobbler is still in the oven and it's about ready to come out. But it doesn't look quite like what I expected. The crust didn't quite rise to the top, but it still looks yummy. So we're gonna see what happens. All right, here we go. We're gonna turn off the oven. And we're gonna, it is nice and bubbly and hot. Okay, doesn't it look great? So now we're going to dig in. We're going to go ahead and cut this because I think that, well, you don't cut it, you just spoon it. And we're going to have it with ice cream and just see what happens with the crust. All right. Boy, it does look good, doesn't it? So there's that. See how you have the crust, it's all down underneath, and we have some topping, and we're going to put on top. Wow, that looks great. And then we're going to get some more for my husband, for Gary. Now let's top it with some ice cream. Wow, that looks so yummy. And it's going to melt this ice cream a lot. And you don't even have to wait to let it cool. You just dig right on in. So let's see. And one more scoop of ice cream. And this is just vanilla ice cream. And there you have it. Hot, fresh blueberry cobbler. Right out of the oven with ice cream. A la mode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.